If you're an author or you're a reader and you want to know more about writing books or you want to read lots of books, you're in the right place. All right, we're taking off. Welcome. This is Books Cafe, sponsored by free-ebooks.com. And also, by the way, we're on Facebook at freeebooks.net. Oh, I said .com. freeebooks.net is our URL. Welcome. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm really excited that you've joined us. We have a new co-host starting today, and I can never say his middle and last name correctly, so I'm only going to use his first name, and now you know why. But I love doing these shows, and I love doing them with a co-host. Oftentimes, we're going to have guests who are authors and or author coaches, and we had a guest today who was an author, and he canceled at the last minute. So this gives us an opportunity to introduce to you for the very first time our new co-host, Chaffee Tangwin. How are you doing, Chaffee?
Awesome. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. And one of the things that I'm excited about one of the reasons why I'm excited about having you on the show is you are an author. You have a number of books. You have children's books. You have business books. You have ghostwritten books. You have marketed books. So for our authors, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat box. Do I have the any questions thing here? No, I don't think so. But just put them in the chat box, wherever the chat box is, and we'll get to them. Now, also, what we love to tell people when you come to freeebooks.net is the books are free. You can download 5, count them 5, that's 5 with a capital F, books every month. We appreciate your support and joining our VIP program, which is a lifetime program, and you can get unlimited ebooks every month and unlimited audiobooks. So unfortunately, summer is a little ways away, but if you're looking for great stories to listen to on your road trip next summer, join the VIP program, get the audiobooks. So Chaffee,
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about some of the books that you've written.
So it's funny. I'm a business coach, and so my first book was an experiment, believe it or not. So I was looking into promoting an event, and so the event was about promotions. And one of the promotions that I wanted to do was writing a book in order to promote your business. And so, in order to promote the event, I wrote the book, and I wrote the book 2 weeks actually before the event and published it and got everything done. And so this is my first book that I wrote to promote a lead generation event. And this was actually written originally in 2012. And so this opened up the door for me to go ahead and print and write a bunch of other books. And what I found interesting about this book was that I actually started looking into writing books years earlier, and there was not an easy way to self-publish a book, right? So all the ways that I looked into publishing a book, hey, you had to go through a publisher, you had to get a manuscript, you had to do all this kind of stuff, and the costs were, around $10,000 to $20,000 to start publishing books, and then there's this site that came out that was called CreateSpace. Now, some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not. Only CreateSpace allowed you to self-publish and create the whole process yourself. And so in order for this event that I was teaching at, it was a 3-day lead generation event, I decided to use CreateSpace and create that book. And the content of this book is actually the content that I used to promote the event as well. So it all tied in really nicely and allowed me to create this first book, which then led me to writing some other books. I have some other personal development books, and then I joined, just to taste the actual publishing side, I joined a group, and we did a co-author book to see if we can get ourselves to the #1 bestseller, and which we did. And so that led to this book, Voyage to Your Vision. And this book hit the #1 bestseller in 3 different countries. And this is a co-authored book with multiple other coaches and other events. And so that just opened the floodgates, Scott. I'm telling you. So from there, I got a whole bunch of other books I can share with you. I got, at least, I think 10 to 15 books out there. I'm currently writing 4 or 5 books right now. So love the book industry.
I didn't realize you were that prolific.
So like you said, these are the coaching books. As you said, I got some children's books here. These are published books as well. I have internet
hold them up
marketing
again.
book.
Hold them up again.
The children's books?
Yeah, because you're full screen now, so people can really see it.
Oh, can you see that?
Well, they would see it if you put it in front of the camera.
There you go. How about that?
There, perfect.
So this is one of them. We actually, this is, as you can see, it says Christine K. Fields, only that's a ghost writer name. So we wrote
a pen name. That's a pen name.
You're correct. A pen name. I'm getting all my terms mixed up.
Wow. I shouldn't say this, Chaffee, but does that make you a trans writer?
Yeah, that does. No. So this is actually, this is near and dear to my heart. And the reason that I started writing children's books is because I have 2 kids. And so, for my kids,
how old are your children?
So I have a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old. And when we started this project, my 13-year-old is actually about 10 years old. When I say we, I have a co-author with this. Actually, we have a ghostwriter for this. Only my co-author and I come up with the ideas and the concepts. And so we put all these books in production. We have 12 of them written. 6 of them are released on Amazon, and we're writing 2 more right now. So
tell us a little bit about how that processes work. Okay, so you have a partner.
Yes.
You want to have a book. It's going to be a series of children's books, but you're not actually writing the book. That's fascinating to me.
Yes. So, this series is, how you say it? Let me start off by saying this is a little different than the process that we use to write, like a nonfiction, book like this. This was also co-written. And the reason that these are different is that because there's this is a whole environment, right? So this is about this little kid right here. His name's Nuff, and he has lessons. And at the end of the book, Nuff always says something of the lesson. So, in this one, it's a savings book, and it says, I know that I should be saving money and not spending all my money because saving money makes sense. And then it always ends with Nuff said, right? So that's the whole concept, is this environment of this little kid that gets in trouble and then learns a lesson at the end. And so we were able to create an entire, world around this character, where we have a website, we have a blog, we have a Facebook page, we have a series of books on different topics for kids. And it's always, what's the lesson? And enough said, right? Or enough said.
Enough said.
So, this was a whole concept behind it, not just let's write a book, right?
Right.
And so now for that concept, we come up with ideas. So the book that we're writing now is actually a Halloween book, and we have a Thanksgiving book in the pipeline. So we're writing holiday books now. So we have different series of books. We have an adventure.
Is Nuff in those books as well?
Pardon me?
Is Nuff in those books at all?
Oh, absolutely. Nuff's the main character of every single book, right?
Okay.
And so he goes through, and for example, we haven't released it yet. Only the synopsis of this Halloween book is that he goes out and he plays a bunch of tricks on people, and then he gets tricks played on him, and then he realizes that it's better to get treats and not do tricks, right? So that's the concept, right? So
how did you and your partner come up with that idea? How's that creative process for the 2 of you?
Yeah, so it's what I love about working with somebody is that you can actually throw ideas back and forth. And so it was originally like, we haven't done any holiday books yet, any seasonal calendar books. So let's throw ideas. What's the next holiday coming up? And this one we actually started about month and a half ago, just with the concept of let's do a Halloween book. And then it's like, what lesson can a little 8-year-old or 8 to 10-year-old, kid range learn about Halloween? And so we come up with what's the lesson, and that's the whole basis of every single book is what's the lesson that's learned in this book. And then once we have the lesson, it's what trouble did he do or get into in order to learn this lesson, right? And so we came up with some ideas of him getting into trouble, and then him learning from that trouble, and then at the end of the book, it leads to that concept or that idea. So once we have all that together, we just write up a little synopsis, like a little paragraph, and we shoot it over to our ghostwriter, and then our ghostwriter takes it from there and embellishes it and builds it out. So
cool. And of course, you do all the drawings in the book.
Absolutely. No, I hire my son to do that. No, I'm just kidding. So it's funny, we have this process really connects you around the world if you really want to. Okay, so our ghostwriter is actually in the UK, and she takes care of everything. And it's really funny because, sometimes when she's writing stuff, the cultural differences appear in the books, right? And so we have to edit sometimes what she's saying and how she's saying it to remove.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So she's in the UK, and then we actually hired somebody that's in Russia that does all of our drawings for us. And I love working with her because she because we have over 12 books written, she now has a series of all the characters and all the drawings and everything. So when we have a new book, she just takes all these old pictures and then she just modifies everything. And instead of having to create something from scratch, she can throw together an entire book for us at a relatively short time.
That's the beauty of templates, eh?
Yeah. So we don't do any of the drawings. Obviously, we look at the drawings. We make edits to the drawings, give her feedback. Well, she makes the edits and everything like that. Right. And so it's a great process where we hire her to do everything.
So You're the Stephen King of children's books.
Yeah, soon. Not quite yet. We're getting there.
So, well, I have to ask, what is your vision for the books and Nuff? What's going to happen when he grows up?
Well, Nuff is not going to grow up.
What?
So again, every single
you say that now, but when your children are teenagers and 20-somethings,
this is what Nuff is going to look like 20 years from now and 30 years from now. Because each of the lessons that are in each of the books are evergreen, what we call evergreen. So they've been around, the lessons have been around for decades or more, hundreds of years. And so we want to make sure that these lessons are lessons that kids learn, throughout history. So he doesn't need to grow up.
Chaffee. So pretend I am a parent, but pretend my children are 8 years old and I'm reading them stories about Nuff. And they're having a great time. And then they're 9 years old, and they're 10 years old. And pretty soon they're 19 years old. Now, I'm sure that the lessons of a 19-year-old are a lot different than the lessons of a 9-year-old. And so I'm going to be sitting there with my sons in bed, reading them stories about Nuff at 19. And they're going to say, Daddy, we know, to save our money, but we don't know not to smoke and drive cars into buildings. How are we going to learn that if Nuff doesn't say anything?
Well, Nuff can run into friends that have those experiences.
Oh.
And we haven't run into that yet. And, Nuff is just like any other comic book character, like, the Charlie Brown and Peanuts gang, right? They never grow old. They stay the same. And so that's the idea is the lessons that you learn. Now, what you mentioned is great because we would love for 20 years down the road that your son is now reading these books to his son or his daughter, right? And so these books can, again, be generational. They don't have to be just a one and done. It's not, we haven't written any books that is specific to a time period. So, whatever political thing that's going on in the world right now, we stayed away from all that. Right. Our ideas are focused on, like I said, evergreen ideas that will live through the test of time. So
Awesome. Awesome. Then you've got 6 finished and how many published?
well, 6 of them are published, 12
Oh,
of
6.
them are finished, and we have 2 more in the pipeline. And our goal is to continue to write these probably at least, I would say, 4 to 6 every year. So one every other month kind of deal,
Right.
and to get these produced.
So how much time would you put into a single book? Now that you've got the system going. So let's say 2 books from now, you haven't decided what it's going to be, and you call up your partner, and from that point to when it's published would be however many months that is, doesn't matter. But would that be an hour of work? Would that be 1,000 hours of work? Like how have you dialed that in?
So if it were just me, I would say not very
30
much,
minutes.
not very
30
much
minutes.
time. No, but we spend actually the most time that we spend is on aligning the images to the storyline. And the reason is that when you have somebody from Russia, doing illustrations to somebody that has written a story from the UK, there's a language difference there. And so,
And then
for
you got to go
example,
over the Atlantic to the North America.
right. Well, for example, the author, the illustrator in Russia, she didn't know what Halloween was. Like they don't have Halloween over there.
Oh,
And so we were talking about trick or treating and trick or treating bags, and she's like, "What's that? What's this?" And so we have to send her examples. We have to Google some images and get some stock photos and send it to her to give her some examples and ideas. So most of the time is actually spent, believe it or not, on just editing and modifying the illustrations. And I would say that we spend too much time doing that because my partner that I write these books with, he's kind of a perfectionist.
uh-huh.
Whereas if we didn't edit or have so many modifications and everything, we can get some books out faster. Now, that said, we meet twice a week for about 2 hours and we talk about a whole bunch of other things. So we probably spend a good, I would say 20 minutes per session on the book.
Okay.
And so twice a week, it'd be like 45 minutes once a week, right?
Yeah.
And the book takes us, like I said, about month and a half. So
So
now
you'd
you're
be
talking about
talking 4 or 5 times.
so you're talking about 5 or 10 hours total at most.
I mean, you are just destroying the image of the author in the old wooden cabin on the lake with the snowflakes coming down and the lake freezing and the deer in the corner, the fireplace going, and the old typewriter typing away, pulling the paper out, scrunching it, throwing it into the fire.
Now you could do that too. That's not our goal. I mean, if you really want to throw out a lot of different concepts and ideas, that's not the way to do it. Especially with today's technology. Today's technology enables you to do so much. Like I can really, I can sit down and really just lay out an entire book. And if it was me and I just sat down and just typed, I can type out the whole thing in probably 2 or 3 days and self-publish it and be done within a week. Right. I mean,
Wow.
that was, unheard of, you know,
Right.
15, 20 years ago, or even possibly 10 years ago was unheard of. Only today with Kindle, with KDP, with all these different, Goodreads and all these different options available for you, you can design, develop, print, and market your book all within 1 or 2 weeks and just in a snap of a finger. So it just really depends on how much work you want to do.
How many pages in the book?
So we keep the kids' books, we keep them fairly short, and they're anywhere between 30 to 40 pages. So as you can see, it's very thin, right? Only each page in the book is a full color spread.
Right.
So again, short, simple. This is a kid's book, and
Nice and bright that it'll keep the children's
yep, extremely
attention.
bright. So all
So
the
how
books are just kind of
old?
spread.
So okay, I have 2 grandchildren, 2 and 8. Both of them should be sitting there watching me as I read the books to them, or just one of them?
So, I mean, you could read the books to both of them. It just depends on your 2-year-old, what his aptitude is and what he enjoys doing. My 13-year-old, he was reading books before he could speak, right? So he knew how to read before he could even speak. And so,
Wow.
you know, we taught him young, and he enjoyed reading. And so by the age of 1.5, he was reading books by himself. Um,
Wow.
we would go places, and he would read signs and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, for your 2-year-old, if he was like that, then it would be great. He would enjoy doing that. Ideally, this book is designed for that 8-year-old age range, though. So I think they would associate with that even more. Now, my
And I,
3-year-old now, he wants nothing to do with reading.
no.
Now, that aside, though, he knows his math. Like, he can add, subtract.
Oh.
He knows even some multiplications and division. It's amazing. Like, you know,
Everyone has their own aptitudes, right?
right. So he's a numbers guy. He doesn't want to read, only he knows his numbers. It's quite amazing.
Cool. So I have a technical type of question, and I hope I didn't just forget it. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Kindle. Do these come in Kindle?
I do. So I have these both on Kindle and as a paperback.
Right.
So you can order either one. Now, I will add one other thing too, Scott. Something that is up and coming. That some of the future books that I'm doing, some of the future non-fiction, you know, coaching type books that I'm going to do, is that I'm actually going to get all these books on Audible, and so there'll be the Audible version as well. And I know that's been exploding in the past couple of years. So to have that option for people is also something that I want to get out there as well.
Cool. So my question around Kindle is it difficult to format it for Kindle and keep the pictures in the right place?
So
I know it's technical, but I'm very curious because I've tried to make Kindle books and I haven't been very successful. And this was like 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, so I'm sure if I tried it now, it'd be totally different. But it was very difficult to have the. In fact, they were telling me at that point, don't put pictures in. So
yeah. So there's there's a specific way that we do these books that each page shows up on the Kindle, and it works really well. And we use a specific converter to do that. And there's conversion software that does everything for you. So it doesn't take us very long at all. As a matter of fact, it's all just part of the process. And like I said, we use the software, converts it, and it's done.
Do you know the name of the software offhand?
Offhand, I completely forget. I would have to look it up.
Now, is it one that's supplied by Amazon, or
it
is
is? It is supplied by Amazon.
So basically, go into Kindle, read about it, learn about it, and then they'll have. Because I know that they have software that downloads it. So, do you write it in Word?
Oh, it's Kindle Kids Book Creator. That's what.
Okay.
Kindle Kids Book Creator. Yep. So they have a Kindle book converter and a Kindle Kids book converter, and they're two separate softwares. So
okay. And do you write it in Word then?
Yeah, so we write it in Word, and depending on the book, I do everything in Word because it's easier for me. I can format it, I can move things around, I can update it, I keep it all in one place. And then from Word, then it's really deciding what format I want it into. We usually convert it into a PDF format, and with KDP, which is Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing arm, you can just upload your template either in a Word document or a PDF document, and it'll take care of the rest for you. So very, very simple to do. Yep.
That's awesome.
And then they have, once you upload the template, they have what they call a previewer. So you can actually preview in, the KDP bookshelf that you have and see how your book would look like once it's published. And that was very useful, as a matter of fact, because we did find some nuances with the way that Microsoft Word formats certain things, and then when you upload it, things move around a little bit.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out, the little nuances there. And again, once you have a template, because we have a template for each one of these books now, you just plug everything into the template, and then it goes up really smoothly.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have you on the show moving forward, Chaffee, and thank you very much for sharing about your children's books and the other books that you've created. Uh, I think you're going to add a lot of value to our show moving forward. So, everybody, so a nice little golf clap for Chaffee. Welcome him here, and go over to the comments and say, "Hey, Chaffee, welcome," and make him feel like make him feel welcome. Right?
Hey, well, I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad to be able to help out, share my information, the research that I've done here. So if anybody has any questions, please post, please comment. As Scott said, we're here to help you guys succeed with your publishing efforts and process your journey as well. So let us know how we can help, and looking forward to working with you guys moving forward.
Awesome. And before we leave, I'm going to ask you for one of these. So, Chaffee, what would be one tip that you would give to aspiring authors?
Well, the tip that I would give to aspiring authors is don't wait. Like, get down and start doing the process of creating this book. I mean, when you think about, oh, I have to write this book, I have to write, 100 pages, 200 pages, or whatever it is, or I have to do this, I have to do that, it can be overwhelming. And so don't get overwhelmed. Just realize that if you have an idea and a desire, right? If you have an idea and a desire, and then you just follow through with that, today's technology, the support that you can get with this group and with other groups, or, the information that's out there that's available for you, you can create a book very quickly, very easily with the content you want, and get that message out to, 10, 20, 100, thousands, millions of people, because you have that desire. So don't wait, because you're preventing other people from getting your information that you can share that will help them. So get it down, get it going, get it moving, and get that book published.
Awesome. Thank you, Chaffee. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been Books Cafe, sponsored by freebooks.net. Make sure you head over, sign up. You can download 5 free ebooks a month for life. And we'll see you next time. And this is our new time, 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. We'll be sticking with this until we change
5:30, I think.
5:30. I pinged Chaffee half an hour before we started, like, where are you? And he says, well, it says 5:30, not 5. Oh, yeah, you're right. This is the only show that I'm involved in that starts on the half hour. I just can't handle it.
Well, we'll work with it. We'll make it happen.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.